independent. Better recognize I'm a king's descendant. If they wish to end us, then I bring the vengeance. You can't buy me with your rings of pendants, cause I'm independent. Better recognize I'm a king's descendant. If they wish to end us, then I bring the vengeance. You can't buy me with your rings of pendants. DIY gang, 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 DIY gang.
Hello and welcome to the DIY Gang Guide, your independent guide to the music industry. I'm Shao, but you should know that already. Today I want to talk to you about Spotify, and I think it's a good time to talk about it because there's been some recent changes and I want to go over that briefly. Unless you've been living under a rock, you should really know what Spotify is. It's pretty big, but just in case you don't, it's a massive streaming service. It allows users access to millions upon millions of tracks, music, artists from across the world. You can listen to as much as you want for a modest fee per month. Very, very similar to Apple Music. I've used both. I won't tell you which I prefer because I don't think that's fair, but it's a fantastic service. And if you're not using one or the other, I'd really recommend giving it a try just to get your head around it and to understand how things work. Now, me personally, it's no secret, I've never been a massive fan of Spotify or streaming services in general. I'm an independent artist. I'm an old school artist in some respects. You know, I came up selling my CDs around the UK, around parts of Europe. Myself, I've sold over 20,000 physical copies. I believe in physical copies. I believe in CDs. I like them. I think that it really adds value to the listener's experience when they have something they can hold in their hand, whether that be a CD or a vinyl. I feel, still do to a degree, that streaming and the quick access of music has really devalued what music is about and made it so much more throwaway. And that for me is a problem. But when it comes to my music, I make sure it's not throwaway. So, you know, I try and do my best as an artist. Now, in terms of Spotify, they're at the forefront of this streaming boom. And let's face it, streaming is the future. So I would really recommend you get involved with it. At the end of the day, as an independent artist, as an up-and-coming artist, you cannot afford to lock yourself out of a massive market that is streaming. So many people listen to music via streaming services that it would be foolish to not at least allow people the option of listening to your music. And I think that's really important. Give them the option. If you've got your music for sale, as well as available for streaming, then people have the option. If they want to buy it, they can. If they want to stream it, they can. But if you've only got it for sale, then the people who want to stream it are not going to buy it regardless. That's not how it works. So don't lock yourself out of the market is what I say. Now, when it comes to Spotify, previously you needed, as an artist, 250 followers on your profile account in order to then apply to be a verified artist. Now, once you're a verified artist, you have access to a really powerful service. It's a analytics which gives you really in-depth knowledge and information about who's listening to your music, where they're listening from, what sort of age range, and this allows you to do so much. You can start targeting your marketing, your touring routes, all that kind of stuff. So if I knew that my music was getting played or streamed rather excessively in Cambridge, then I would do a show in Cambridge. Or if I found that I was getting a lot of plays out in Philadelphia in America, I'm flying over to America, I'm doing a show. Those kind of things, that kind of information is invaluable for an artist. You get access to that information. And previously you needed 250 followers before you could get access. Now, Spotify have launched Spotify for Artists, their new service. And one of the most poignant things, you don't need 250 followers anymore. You just need to go to their website and sign up. And I would fully recommend you do that. If you are an artist, if you're a music maker, if you make original music, go and do that, because why not? You know, it's another avenue for people to listen to your music, and it gives you so much more control over your musical universe on Spotify when you can actually see who is listening to your music and how they're interacting with it. If they're listening on mobile phones, if they're listening on computers, that kind of thing, what other artists they listen to as well. All of that information is really important. So in order to sign up, you need to go to www.artists.spotify.com. Go check that out. I'd really recommend. Thank me later. Once you've signed up for Spotify for Artists, you will eventually get that verified tick. I think it takes a couple of weeks. I'm not entirely sure on that. You want to make sure that you've got your picture for your artist profile. You get a banner as well. Make sure it looks dope so that when people come to check out your music, they know who they're listening to. In order to get your music on Spotify, you need an aggregator or a distributor, digital distributor. There are several out there such as CD Baby, TuneCore, Believe Digital, I think as well. Ditto Music, really, really good. If you want my personal opinion, I'd say Ditto Music. I'm with them, so I'm a bit biased. But as I will always say, don't just take my word for these things. Go out and do your research. Don't just take my first word for it. I'm only giving you advice. So yeah, there are loads out there. You need this aggregator. You put your music on with the distributor stroke aggregator, and you can select it to be uploaded to Spotify as well, and your music's on Spotify. It's that simple. But the key thing is when you sign up for artists.spotify.com, you now have access to check out the analytics on your Spotify. You can update your artist profile on your Spotify. There's a lot more that you can do. So it's, it's a powerful service. In terms of getting more plays on Spotify and things like that, I'd like to go into that in this video, but I think it's going to overrun a bit, and I want to keep this short. So if you're interested, we can talk a bit more about that. I'm certainly no expert. I don't get massive plays on Spotify, but I get really good sales in the physical world. But I'm trying to change that. I want, good support in physical, good support on digital. So I'm going to be working myself to improve that as an artist. And as I learn it, I want to pass it on to you. So we can talk about that in the next video. All I can say, I'm sure many of you will want to know, how much does Spotify pay? This is something that I've spent a little bit of time Googling. It's not easy to find. It's not directly on the Spotify website, and I would say that is one criticism I could give of them. But from my research, it seems to be around the 0.004 to 5 pence per play, something like that. And I did, I double checked that. I got, I think, about 25,000 plays or so on one of my tracks. It paid about £113. When you work that out, I mean, this is I'm giving you the rough amounts, but when I worked it out, it came out about 0.0045 pence per play. So that sounds about right. Spotify officially say that there's various factors involved, how many people are listening to music, what countries you're based in, etc., etc. So there's an algorithm to it, apparently. So don't quote me on that, but that's, from my personal experience, what you'd be getting. At the end of the day, if you make another 100 quid off your music, that's another 100 quid you've made off your music. I wouldn't say just rely entirely on streaming to pay your bills or to pay your way as an artist or to fund your music career, because you're going to need multi-millions of plays. And when you're starting out, that's very unlikely to happen unless you get a lucky break. And I would also say never rely on just a lucky break to kickstart or to sustain your music career. So you need to plan further than that. And we can talk about different ways to make money from music as well. But streaming is an option, and it's a viable option. So don't miss out. Get yourself onto a distributor or an aggregator. Like I said, Ditto Music, I think Believe Digital, I certainly know TuneCore, CD Baby. There's loads. If you just Google digital music distributors, I'll put a list at the end of this video for you, make things a little easier. And then sign up for Spotify for Artists. It's real easy. So I hope that's helped you. Until next time, this is the DIY Gang Guide. Keep it independent, keep it DIY Gang. Peace.
That's a wordplay. Now this a brand new page in my story. I'm showing you the path I take to find glory. The way you shout, the way you shout, the way you shout, the way you shout. The pleasure, the pain, the pressure, the gains, the treasure, the strains. Yeah, I'm back again. The way you shout, the way you shout, the way you shout. The way you shout. When I was young, I tried to run before I knew how to stand up. Learned to walk before I crawled. Understand I'm not standard. Forward, not backward. Ifs and maybes don't cut. And a honey is the DIY gang, DIY gang.